So today we're talking about the 12-3 in someone's soul contract chart. So both the 12 and the 3 are master numbers. So that means they're either it's very powerful, but it's either really powerfully negative or really powerfully positive, depending on where it is. So if it's in a karmic area, it's going to be really negative. If it's in a talent area, you could get a real boost from that. Now, the 12, we'll talk about each of them separately, but the 12 is Libra energy. So Libra is ruled by Venus. So think it's about harmony, expansion, balance, expression, and also sex. And these two numbers, the 12 and the 3, are both have a sexual component to them, which you don't see in some of the other or most of the other numbers. Now, this sexual energy depends on where it is in your chart. So if it's in a karmic area, then you could either have, multiple partners, or you could be completely blocked sexually. So there's nothing going on at all, or there's like too much going on, it's kind of unhealthy. So those are the two things that could happen if it's in a karmic area. Other things in a karmic area with the 12 is you could be indecisive. You constantly need approval from others. You're trying to expand because this one is really, expansion is very important to this number. So you're trying to expand, but then something gets in your way. And that could be something like some sexual desire, like maybe you were on a path and then all of a sudden, some sexual experience got in the way and you dropped your expansion path. I don't know, but that could actually get in the way of your expansion with this number too. But you do, Venus, you see beauty in everything. You're very motherly, like you have a lot of love for other people. You love learning new things. And especially if you try them out and they work for you, then you can't wait to tell other people about them. And the body part associated with the 12 is the gallbladder. So you could have, maybe in a karmic way, you could have some anger and judgment stored in there. So the goal of this number is you have to bring harmony into your physical, your spiritual, and your sexual aspects. So the 3 is, we'll just go into this one a little bit because I did a whole nother video on the 3, but again, it's also a master number. And this one is a double meaning number. So it means going from poverty to wealth. So that means going from actually having no money to having money, or maybe you have money, but your inner world is in a state of poverty. So this one is the key to this one. The key to moving from poverty to wealth is healing your unworthiness. So deep down, you may know it, it may be subconscious, but you've got this unworthiness that drives especially your spending habits. So you may spend a lot of money on really dumb things and rack up debt, and you're just like, you could be just blocked in money, right? So it's this unworthiness that keeps you in these, terrible spending sprees, or this unworthiness that says, you're not worthy of the flow of money into your life, right? So it's the healing of the unworthiness. That's how you move from poverty to wealth. And because this number 3 also has a sexual component to it, then that could be part of your feeling blocked sexually, is this unworthiness. So healing the unworthiness then allows you to have, a healthy sexual expression. And the planet for the 3 energy is Mars, which is interesting because, in like any kind of astrology, Mars and Venus are like the masculine, feminine version of, love and sex and procreation. So it's interesting that these two numbers have a sexual component to them, and it's Mars and Venus. So, anywho. But when the big thing when the 12 and the 3 are together, because the 12 is never going to be by itself, or you're not going to get a 12 12. So the only way you get a 12 is with a 3. That's the only way that you can get a 12. But you could get a 3 3 together. So the 3 can be with another 3, but the only way you're getting a 12 is if it's with a 3. And when the 12 and 3 are together, you're never, ever satisfied. So just keep that in mind. You're always going to be searching, expanding, and you're never going to sit back and go, yep, I think I've learned enough. Now I'm just going to chill for a while. Like, that's not going to happen. Now, if you have a 12-3 in a karmic area, you might have a really big fear of failure, and you can't find a balance between the physical and the spiritual parts of you. And then when you do want to expand, you might feel like you're just doing it wrong. You could be shy, and you could be underachieving, and you might have problems with excess, like we talked before, like buying a bunch of things that you don't need. And then, especially if it's in a spiritual karma area, your physical and your spiritual world are really out of balance. So you may not know even how to tap into that spiritual flow. Because, see, again, this is all about being blocked too. So it's about that flow between you in the physical world, but the flow of that spiritual energy. If you have a 12-3 in a talent area, then you just love learning new things. But it's not good enough just to learn new things. You want to share them with others. So if you come across something that you like, you're going to be great at it. And if you have a 12-3 in your physical talent, and then you have a 12-3 in one of the goal areas, you might get like bananas crazy over something, to the point where, other things might fall apart in your life, and because you're so fixated on this thing that you've learned. So keep that in mind if that's the case. But you're always gaining knowledge. You're never going to stop gaining knowledge. And then you're always going to share people. You're going to share this knowledge with other people. And you do it out of love. Like, it makes you feel good. You love doing this for someone else. So you could be here to be some type of spiritual teacher. And if you have 12-3 in your goal area, just the goal is to gain as much knowledge as you can and share it with others. It's as simple as that. And if you have a 12-3 in a soul destiny, it means that you are close to the end of an incarnation cycle. So maybe the second or third to last. The thing that I don't know about this is, does that mean, I don't know how many incarnation cycles people have. So does that mean it's just the end of one of these, but then you got to start a whole new one? That I don't know. But at least you're close to the end of an incarnation cycle, whatever that means. Your goal is to align the physical and the spiritual through things that you learn and discover. So that is always a goal, is to, connect that physical and spiritual side of yourself. And here's another important thing. You need to expand as much as possible in this lifetime, because your cells will remember all that you're doing for the next time. You know how that's the whole point of this, which I find just so annoying, that all of the stuff you have to go through, then you have to forget it, right? Then you leave this earth, you forget all of this. Well, I guess you don't forget it until you come back in again. And you have to just start from scratch, right? But if you have a 12-3 in a soul destiny, it means somewhere in there your soul, your cells are going to remember a lot of this. So it just feels like you're always completing and moving on, completing and moving on, completing and moving on, because that's how your cells are going to, they just need to finish as much as you possibly can in this lifetime. Some of the things you can do, even if it's in a talent area, and you might need to bring out a little more of the positive aspects, but if it's in a karmic area or a goal or a soul destiny, on one hand, because this is kind of confusing, on one hand, you have to do as much as you possibly can. It's all about expanding and completing and doing as much as you can. However, the number 3 energy does have that component to it, that unworthiness, right? So you have to make sure that you're not just doing things and they're coming from a place of unworthiness. And that type of doing looks like just busy work, doing things because you feel uncomfortable, doing any kind of spiritual work or something like that. Like, let's say, oh, you want to start meditating and instead you're, redecorating your bedroom or something that doesn't really need to be done, but it's getting in the way, but you're feeling like you're doing something. Of course, you move things around, it feels like you've accomplished something, but did you? Like, was that really expanding or was that just busy work fueled by the unworthiness? So that's where you need to kind of be careful with these two numbers. So expanding, good; busy work, no. And you can read more about the unworthiness, like healing that, on the video, and I'll put it up at the end of this video, of the energies of the threes. So I put a lot more in there about how to heal this unworthiness inside of you. But that is, even if it's in a talent area, you might still have a little bit of this that you need to clear out. So you have to do that. You have to work on that unworthiness. And like I said, you're learning to see and, more importantly, feel, using your intuition, the right thing to do. Instead of doing everything just for the sake of doing something, slow down, and then your spiritual energies, the flow of spirit through you, is going to let you know where you need to go next. So you might keep a diary or a journal, and you can kind of figure out, like, which is which. Is this some sort of spiritual nudge that I'm supposed to pursue, that I'm really excited about? Or is this just busy work being driven by the unworthiness? And you may have some blockages in there that could cause anger, judgment, and of course, since both of these have a sexual component to them, you could have sexual blockages too. So again, the sexual blockages could also come from that unworthiness of the number 3. That could be part of that. But the other part, if it's in a karmic area, it just means that you need to, integrate your physical and your spiritual world when it comes to sex. So if you're just in the physical world and it's in a karmic area, that's, like I said, you may be doing a lot of stuff like that maybe is not good for you sexually, or the 3 could kind of step in and maybe there's some unworthiness and it just blocks you from even feeling worthy enough to really, enjoy sex in that way. So you have to either work on the unworthiness or work on integrating, like, that physical and spiritual side to yourself. So just think about these two energies in here. Think about Mars and Venus, right? So how would they work together? How would they work together if everybody's getting along? And this, like I said, this is associated with the gallbladder. So you might want to try, like, a gallbladder or liver cleanse might be good if you're feeling stuck, or some qigong to move some energy through these organs. I think this is a really fun combination of numbers to have if you can move it into the positive, because moving this thing into the positive is that you make a lot of money and you have this really great and healthy sex life. So sounds great. So yeah, if you have a 12 and a 3, that could be really fun for you. Just get those things moved over into the positive side. So if you have any questions, let me know.